This is a Protos podcast. So there's this guy, Jeffrey Berns. He's the CEO of Blockchains LLC. And he put out this advertisement. And there's this space-aged countdown. And then this hushed quiet across the crowd, followed by some scattered cheering. And then a commercial, a young girl talking about the future and how blockchains are going to change everything.
It's not so much a rule as it is a belief that blockchain technology can, should, and will impact humankind for the better. A belief that it offers as many possibilities as there are grains of sand in all the sandboxes on Earth.
There's some more scattered applause and then another commercial.
Adults like to tell me about the future. New technologies like the blockchain will change the world for the better.
In the end, Jeffrey starts communicating with this adolescent girl in hologram form.
A very special girl that you may have seen around town this past week.
Hey everybody, are you ready to change the world?
Yeah!
And the whole thing not only doesn't work, but is just embarrassing from the first moment.
We better start with why you're talking to a hologram of a 12-year-old girl. Kinda weird.
Yeah, well, I can promise you it's a lot weirder for me than it is for you. Okay, so
It only goes downhill from there. And while I don't believe we started this project thinking the blockchain city could get any weirder, or any murkier, or any worse, the reality is it can always get weirder and murkier and worse. This presentation by Jeffrey Berns at a silly blockchain conference years ago serves as a perfect metaphor for what we're seeing as we press on with the story. It's a fantasy, a mirage to woo the crowd, and it's utterly ineffective. But that's only the surface of the story. And the further we peered into the abyss, the weirder and murkier and worse it looks.
you can tell that we're not entertainers. We're actually lawyers, so we're just going to go ahead. My name's Jeffrey Berns.
My name's Cass Pianci,
And I'm Bennett Tomlin,
and we're taking a trip to the Blockchain City.
and this is Innovated.
We started exploring Blockchain City, which is,
Not a city.
not a city in Blockchains LLC.
Blockchains Inc. is their actual corporate name in Nevada,
Wait, but they go by Blockchains LLC, right?
right? But the actual Nevada corporation is Blockchains Inc.
But there's more than one. I can only
Oh yeah,
assume.
I'm sure. Blockchains LLC is the one out of Delaware. The one out of Nevada is Blockchains Inc.
Yeah. This is a good glimpse into how difficult it is to understand finance. Everything is obfuscated. There's 100 different companies with the same name or slightly different on purpose in different locations to move money in specific ways and be taxed in specific or non-specific ways. We started looking at Blockchain City as a fun thing for us to explore, but it's kind of snowballed a bit. I was not expecting the level of interconnectedness in relation to government subsidies, major business interests, and pipe dreams.
Yeah, I mean, it's really an elaborate scheme to try to get better taxes. It's such an elaborate scheme that they're willing to get right on the edge of bribing politicians and write their own bills that they submit to the Nevada legislature and stuff, all as part of the scheme. And just to be clear, as far as we know, they have not actually bribed politicians. They've just made large donations and then hired their spouses.
Some of these examples by Bennett are obviously specific to Blockchains LLC or Blockchains Inc. or whatever it's called. But some of them have wider ranging effects.
We'll touch on what an innovation zone is later, but first, Bennett, can you please explain what an opportunity zone is and how it's used in this country?
So, Cass, opportunity zones are an interesting Trump administration tax policy. Basically, investors who have made a bunch on their investments also have to pay a bunch in capital gains taxes. That is, unless they reinvested those gains into these specially designated opportunity zones. These opportunity zones were supposed to be economically distressed areas where the reinvestment of these gains would help revitalize them. The interesting wrinkle here is that Story County, where Blockchain's LLC intends to build its Painted Rock Smart City, was not originally an opportunity zone. It was only after Trump Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin met with convicted felon and securities fraudster Mike Milken that the designation for Story County got changed. Most interestingly, Mike Milken was a previous investor in the Story County tract. Then we get further guidance from the Department of the Treasury saying that existing investors in newly designated opportunity zones should still be able to benefit from the tax break. So now, Mike Milken was eligible for this capital gains tax break. Shortly after this, Jeffrey Berns announced that he had purchased 67,000 acres in this tract, and he intended to build his shining city in a valley, the Painted Rock Smart City.
These 67,000 acres, this shiny blockchain smart city, isn't close to anything except for Reno. Story County, while the smallest county in Nevada, is still 680 square kilometers of high desert shrubs, distribution centers, and power plants, the occasional pack of wild horses. Only two types of people could possibly attempt to turn this location into a technological oasis. Dreamers with an extra vivid imagination, or stargazing gamblers on a wing and a prayer. It's still unclear which one Jeffrey Berns and his company are, but it leaves some burning questions, like, why here? Why an innovation zone in Story County? So we know that part of Story County is registered as this opportunity zone, which already has these great tax benefits. But we also understand that Jeffrey Berns and other people want more than just an opportunity zone. They want an innovation zone. So what is that?
An innovation zone is what happens when you are a billionaire who believes you can buy your way through the political process. Jeffrey Berns wanted to make sure that his Painted Rock Smart City would be functionally independent from the governance of Story County, and so created this bill, the Innovation Zone Bill, that would eventually allow the Painted Rock Smart City to basically secede and become its own county, collect its own taxes, make its own decisions about schools, all the things counties could normally do. And the reason I say that it looks like something a billionaire trying to buy the political process would come up with is because as Jeffrey Berns was trying to get this Innovation Zone bill passed, he made sure to make a few large and well-timed donations to the governor's campaign. And when it came time to figure out what the bill was actually going to say, he made sure to hire the governor's wife's consulting firm. The result was this bill specifically tailored for Blockchain's LLC and Jeffrey Berns with a set of requirements that, of course, they met. And the ability for Blockchains to eventually become its own new county in Nevada.
Imagine a world, no government, no bank, no corporation, just trusting in math. I believe it's the first time in humanity's history that we have this potential.
Now, to be clear, this isn't just about Blockchain's LLC or Jeffrey Berns, because they weren't the only ones who seemed to come up with this brilliant scheme of creating their own county within a county.
We can look to a few other incredibly wealthy individuals as a cast of characters who are going to be playing roles.
And it is quite a fascinating cast indeed. The most public of which is probably Lance Gilman, who serves as kind of the spokesperson, broker, advertiser, marketing leader for the Tahoe Reno Industrial Complex. It's him who's out in front selling all this land to people like Jeffrey Berns.
And is also apparently the owner of the Mustang Ranch, the largest brothel in Nevada.
And also the county commissioner for Story County, where this whole project is happening.
Only in Nevada can you be a brothel owner and county commissioner
And head of water and sewer.
and maybe be nearly a billionaire and then also possibly help form a new county.
You know, in some respects, Nevada really is the most American state. And just to be clear, the county government where the centimillionaire can be a county commissioner, run the sewer and water, own this massive industrial park, is the one that they thought was too regulated, too slow, and not sufficient for the Painted Rock Smart City's ambitions. Here is where they really needed to carve themselves out because they were just too restricted.
So we have a brothel-owning cowboy billionaire millionaire. Who's our second player here?
I mean, I think we gotta go with who's actually pulling the strings behind Lance, right? Roger Norman, the illiterate centimillionaire / possible billionaire, Trump mega donor who owned all this land that Lance Gilman is selling to these people.
And I think for our tale, the protagonist in my eyes seems to be Sam Toll, a small-town, humble investigative reporter in Story County.
Yeah, and so he ended up on the receiving end of some unwanted attention from Lance Gilman after he accurately reported that Lance Gilman, in order to be the Story County Commissioner, had to register that he was living at the brothel, along with everyone else who serves with him on the Water and Sewer Board, and a whole bunch of other people who were helping him out. They were all living together in like a couple of small outbuildings at the brothel, apparently.
A couple billionaires, a brothel, an industrial zone, and a small-town investigative journalist all collide to form a blockchain city. I mean, that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. It's absurd.
And maybe it is absurd, but it's also the reality on the ground in Nevada. The idealistic concept, a blockchain city, a thriving innovation hub in the middle of the high desert, with beautiful lakes and insulated glass skyscrapers, the sister to Silicon Valley, only makes sense because of government subsidies and tax incentives. But also, the government is supposedly the will of the people. So if people want a new, efficient, decentralized, never tested governmental structure, so be it. Where there's a will, there's a way. And in Story County, and within the offices of Blockchains LLC, there's a will. Join Bennett and I next time on Innovated, Blockchain City, when we delve into the promises and inventive ideas driving the metaphorical foundations of the blockchain city deep into the rocky hills of the Nevada desert.